In this final episode of our Tripadeal Best of Mexico tour, we are taking you on a real adventure. We start in the city of Campeche on the Gulf of Mexico. It is the only walled city in Mexico. Then we go to the UNESCO World Heritage Archaeological Site of Uxmal. We tell you all about the legend of the witch and the dwarf. I tell you about Lyle's very brave attempt at downing a massive tequila shot before arriving at the capital of the Yucatan Peninsula, Merida. We tell you all about this wealthy city and what we saw there before heading on to the bus again for our final day of bus travel. It's like we have kept the best for last. We visit one of the 7 wonders of the world, Chichen Itza, and then take a surprise visit to a cenote where we float in the clear waters many metres below land. Finally, we end up in the tourist area of Cancun for a peaceful couple of days, although Lyle had a bit of an experience on a short bus trip that he shares with you. Stay listening to the end to hear how you can download the PDF document we put together covering all the nitty-gritty bits and pieces you need to know, and I wish we'd known, before doing this tour or travelling to Mexico. You won't want to miss it. Enjoy our last instalment of our trip through Mexico in episode 43. Cheers! And welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Lyle, and this is the travel podcast for beach-loving, wine-drinking couples over 50.
So if that sounds like you, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and listen as we go travelling the world, one wine at a time.
Cheers.
Hola, mi amor.
Hola, Leonita.
So we are back in the podcasting studio. Don't say it. Ready to do the third instalment of our trip to Mexico podcast. See or not?
See.
And we're still suffering a bit of jet lag, so we're still getting over our long trip home. But we've got some really great stuff to talk to you about in our last few days that we had in Mexico, don't we, Tom?
We do.
So let's begin by where we left off last time. We'd just arrived at Campeche, which is on the Gulf of Mexico, and we just arrived as the sun was setting and looking out over the water, which was pretty nice, wasn't it?
It's Campeche is known for its preserved Baroque colonial buildings,
beautiful
military architecture,
and
walled historic district.
That's right. It's the only city in Mexico that has with a walled city.
Correct. Yeah. In response to and the walled city was built in response to the pirate attacks. The city was fortified in the 17th century and has 2 hilltop fortresses that are now museums.
We had a quick look at one of those, didn't we?
Yeah. Look, Campeche's historic center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Look, on arrival, we drove along the Gulf of Mexico. Look, it was beautiful, to be honest. It was a perfect site. But what I couldn't believe was on the right-hand side, on the right-hand side, when we're driving along, I couldn't believe all the car franchises.
Some of them were luxury cars, weren't they?
Yeah. And I just thought that's unbelievable. We hadn't seen anything like that. There was a beautiful boardwalk along the beach area there. And it was actually the first time that I'd noticed anywhere we'd been that there was people exercising, like people jogging and running and riding bikes and all that sort of thing. So that was different.
When we got there, we dumped our stuff at the hotel.
Yeah, the Hotel Mission.
And we headed down to the waterfront because our guide, Tacho, said they do a what he called crazy waves, but basically it was a light show, like with water fountains and lights and things. So we wandered down there. That was nice. I was waiting for the big finale, and then we headed off back into the city area, where we wandered up and had a quick look around the plaza and the cathedral, which was beautiful, that lit up at night, and the buildings around that with the verandas and things looked really nice.
Yeah, there was lots of cafes and restaurants and colonial buildings.
That's right, and they had like all the seats and stuff out in the middle of the street. Reminded us a bit of Spain, didn't it?
Yeah. Look, it was interesting that I actually asked Tacho, why did Campeche appear to be so much more sophisticated? And his response was basically there was a much more diverse population that was really not that interested in the traditional indigenous cultures.
Okay.
So
Fair enough. So yeah, it was
completely different than what we experienced before.
We didn't actually have dinner because it was still full from our lunch, and so we just found that, as I said, a little table that we sat at with some of the people from the tour and had a few drinks.
We may not have been hungry, but we were thirsty.
We were thirsty, yeah. And so we very sort of busy day and busy night, and so we went to bed after a few drinks, and the next morning we did a short walking tour around we went to see part of the original wall around the city, and went up to sort of one of those fort areas where they had some of the old cannon guns and things up there, and the bell that you ring when you're in trouble, which looked out over the Gulf, which was was quite nice. And then sort of through some of the streets where once again the architecture was beautiful, and the lovely colours of the buildings. There's the pale greens and the yellows and the blues, and some of the paint sort of starting to come off, and that sort of added to the appeal, I thought. It just looked really, I really liked the look of that city. And then we walked up to the city sort of archway through the city wall, and then that's where we got back onto the bus.
Yeah, it was an interesting fact though, and Tacho did focus on the commentary about the pirates. Right. And how the pirates were in the Gulf of Mexico, and he mentioned the Dutch, the Portuguese, but he especially mentioned Sir Francis Drake.
Right.
Now he is considered a hero in England because he was the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe.
Yeah.
And he was actually the second person worldwide, globally, to do that. Now, Drake's circumnavigation of the globe was also a secret pirate mission sanctioned by Queen Elizabeth I against the Spanish. So, it's the old story. One perspective is that he's a hero and he's doing all this, and then on the other side of it, he's a naughty boy. But as I said, I then went and thought, well, I wonder if there was any Spanish or Mexican pirates, and sure enough, there was. So it was just. At that time, I suppose everybody, all the naval, seaworthy vessels.
Well, they went out discovering, but if they found stuff they wanted to keep, they took it.
Well, especially gold.
Right. Okay. So, thanks for that little pirate lesson. Very nice.
Oh, I just thought that was an interesting fact.
Yes, I love your interesting facts. So,
why what?
Once we did that, we got back on the bus, right? And we headed to another archaeological site. This one was called Uxmal, spelled Uxmal, Uxmal, and it's a UNESCO heritage site, which was named that in 1996, and it's one of the top Mayan sites in the world.
Correct.
Yeah,
and especially on the Yucatan Peninsula.
Sure.
That separates the Gulf of Mexico from the Caribbean Sea.
Correct.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about Uxmal, Lyle?
Oh, wow. I got to tell you. Yeah. And I'm going to read this. Okay. So direct decorations include entwined snakes and in many cases two-headed snakes.
So that's on the actual temples.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. There's a great big temple, this one. There's one main huge temple actually. And
used for mask of the rain god Chaac, which is Chaac. Feathered serpents with open fangs are shown from the same human beings. The buildings take advantage of the terrain to gain height and acquire important volumes, including the Temple of the Magician, which is the biggest one. Now, it's 40 metres high and a width of 81 metres with 5 levels, and the Governor's Palace, which covers an area of more than 1,200 square metres.
Hang on, I'll just interrupt you there. So I've got some lovely pictures of that. The Magician's, what was that one called? The
Magician Temple.
Yeah. On our Instagram, Beach Travel Wine. Yeah, if you want to have a look at that. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. So other monuments include the Pyramid of the Dwarf.
Oh.
Now we're getting there. Now, according to the legend, the pyramid was built overnight during a series of challenges issued to the dwarf by the king of Uxmal.
Mm.
The dwarf story has it. The dwarf's mother, a witch, arranged the trial of strength and magic to compete against the king.
So she couldn't have kids, so she made an egg and made the dwarf.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that bit. The story goes that the king went first. He swung the axe at the dwarf's head, but his mother had given the dwarf a magic protection, so he was not hurt.
So, sorry, I just interrupt. There's a strong man that was tasked with, they put this nut or something on top of the dwarf's head, right? And the strong man swings his axe, bangs the axe down on top of the nut on the dwarf's head, right?
Yep.
And lo and behold, he doesn't die because...
Oh, his mother had given him the protection, like a protection.
A steel-capped head underneath his... made him like with a steel under his head.
Helmet,
thank you, that's the word.
Yeah.
And then...
Jeez, it took a while to get to that.
I know, right? And then so the king... It was the king's turn, so they got another one of those
it was the king's turn next.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he did not have the magical protection and was killed. Therefore, the dwarf was the new king.
So what happened was they put that little thing on the king's head, this big strong man swings his axe, bang on the king's head, splat, he's dead.
Yeah,
and so
see you later, motors.
Hail King Dwarf.
King Dwarf, yes.
And you know what the dwarf said?
Oh, God.
He said, I'm not happy.
Well, which one was he?
Anyway, go on.
Okay, fair enough. Temples and pyramids, including the North Long Building, the House of the Birds, the House of the Turtles,
all the stuff.
The House of the Doves, and the South Temple. Now, like as you walk around the actual site, you do see all these inscriptions, or I suppose, what would you call them? Inscriptions, carvings, carvings, and on these particular temples. The pyramid of Magician is 100 foot tall, has 90 steps leading to the top that are very steep, resulting in a 60% 60-degree slope. The doorway at the top aligns with the setting sun on April the 12th and August the 31st.
I'm sure there's a reason for those
dates. I try to find out. I really couldn't, but it's all about this astrology thing that the Mayans had going on.
So that's all the facts and figures.
Yes.
But I really liked that site because it was easy to walk around until you got to the last part, and we were given the choice if we wanted to go up to the top to get the view from the top, and he said it was quite difficult, but we're like, we're only here once, we've got to do it. And it actually wasn't too difficult.
It wasn't hard at all.
But once you got to the top, it was amazing. You know, once again, those pictures are on our website at beachtravelwine.com.
Yeah, you did get some great photos.
Yeah, it was just a fabulous view from up there. So that's Uxmal, the Mayan archaeological site, which is a UNESCO heritage place, isn't it?
Another one.
And then we were back on the bus. We're back on the bus and we are heading to a local restaurant for lunch on our way to Merida. And this restaurant, we sort of had like a hungy lunch.
That's right.
Yeah, where they cook the food underground, and it's a local Mayan family, and the grandmother was there, and she's, been doing it for years and years. Yeah. And so we went there. And our lunch started with lime soup, which was divine.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
And then the meat and vegetables and dessert. And then we get a treat.
We did.
We get tequila shots. So they have the tequila, they have the coffee liqueur, and then some sparkling water, which they just sort of spray across the top. And the guy comes over and he goes, un, dos, tres, and bangs it on the table, and you got to drink it down and put your big sombrero on, and some people do one, some people do two or three. I had to do two because you were filming and missed the first one. So
that's true. Okay. That's true. But the soda water, basically they use the soda water so that when they shake it and they hit it, that means the shot goes down quicker. We used to have, in my past life, we used to have tequila slammer specials.
Right. Anyway,
and
back to Mexico.
That's how it works.
Fine. However, there's always got to be someone who's the last in this tequila shot, game
Yes,
that
well,
we have?
Peter had 3.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then, so I was last.
Excuse me. I'm
Oh,
telling this story,
all right,
mister.
fair enough.
And so Lyle's last, and so the guy goes over to the tray where he's making up all the drinks. He's got his back to us, and he's pretending like he's pouring this one in and that one in and getting it ready for Lyle. And Lyle's got the sombrero on, waiting for his shot. Anyway, the guy comes over with the glass, like it's like a midi glass full of this brown liquid, and he goes, un, dos, tres, and bangs it, and then Lyle's got to scull the whole thing, which he did. He had a little spill, towards the end. That was it. And
the mouth wasn't big enough, which is most unusual because most people think I've got a very large mouth.
Everyone's cheering and clapping, and but you reckon there wasn't much tequila in it?
Yeah, because I do.
Anyway,
because I was going to do some work on the bus,
yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is going to be right. I'm not going to get anything done. But yeah, I don't think there was any tequila at all in it. But anyway,
there's a great
it was
video.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun,
and you did get a very, very good video.
Yeah, so if you go to the story highlights, Mexico 2, and you'll see Lyle sculling, and me, but Lyle sculling the great big glass of brown liquid.
Yeah, sort of what concerned me is why he picked me. Whether or not I do look like a drunk, I'm not sure. But anyway.
You were just last, maybe. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
So then we're back on the bus and headed to Merida, and we arrived there about 6 p.m., which was nice, and nice hotel. Dropped our bags, and when we met Tacho, and a few of us did like a guided walk around the square, didn't we? At the Zocalo.
Yep.
It was a busy Zocalo, like there's locals out everywhere, and it was really, really pretty. They had the town hall, the cathedral. They actually had a light show on the cathedral and once again, there's some beautiful videos of that on Instagram stories with, butterflies and flowers and that sort of stuff. And, horse and carts outside the town hall, all lit up in pretty blue colours. There's some pretty pictures as well. So, have you got some information though about? You want to tell us about Merida? Or
look, I think we jumped a little bit there, because as the centre,
that's right. As we drove in, yes, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
Look, Merida was one of the.
It's the capital of the Yucatan Peninsula.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in its day, Merida was one of the wealthiest cities in the world.
And it had a unique agave called Heineken.
That's correct. Yeah. As the centre of the Heineken production, a native plant to Yucatan, Merida gathered great wealth during the last century. After the Heineken is extracted from the plant, Heineken is produced as a textile.
Yeah, so that they use it.
Yeah, so look, as we drove in, there's
like the Paseo.
We drive along the Paseo de Monteo, with its wide street walks, really old-fashioned street lights, monuments and landscape in Paseo de Monteo.
Yes.
Look, it was beautiful, to be honest, and it's got a lot of like the original Spanish plantation owners.
Yes.
From the Heineken.
Huge estate houses.
Beautiful buildings and that sort of thing.
And what about the beautiful sculpture in the middle?
Okay, I was hoping you were going to ask me that. One of the most impressive monuments located on the Paseo de Monteo is the monument to the fatherland, carved out of stone. The monument a la Patria depicts scenes from Mexican history, including the Declaration of Independence, the Revolution, and the Battle of Puebla.
Yes.
The monument also depicts Mexico's role in international affairs by recalling the country's role in World War II. The monument consists of a central semicircle with 2 ramps, a staircase, and a fountain with a total external diameter that reaches 40 meters. It's bloody huge.
Well, it's right in the middle of a huge roundabout.
Sure. Yeah. And the Paseo de
The Paseo,
The Paseo is named after Francisco de Monteo, the Spanish conquistador who founded the city in 1542.
So we drove along this beautiful wide road with these mansions, past the beautiful shops, there's some, and the restaurants, like the expensive restaurants. They said, oh, you can eat there, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. So it's quite a wealthy city. We did the thing around the monument, and then you actually then go back down, and there's like a statue of old mate down at one end with his son.
That's right.
Yeah, on that same paseo. That's before we did get to our hotel. That's right. But so we got a hotel, and we did do that walk up around the Zocalo and the beautiful cathedral and things up there, didn't we?
Yeah, look, it was very Spanish. I thought it was like, and it's interesting how the south of Spain does seem to be a lot wealthier than the north of Spain, and because this, like, it
Mexico,
was.
you talking about?
So what did I say? Spain.
Yes. Yeah.
Mexico. Yeah, the north of. The south of Mexico does seem to be a lot wealthier than the north of Mexico. Example of Merida's profound Spanish colonial history is observed through the amount of Spanish colonial architecture along the Paseo de Montejo, the Ayuntamiento, which is the town hall, and Merida's cathedral which is surrounded by Merida's Socola.
Yeah, and I mentioned that before.
Look, it really is.
Yeah, go and have a look at the photos on our website, at the show notes and pictures that go with this episode, 43. I've got some lovely pictures there of Merida. But after we've done all that, can I move on now? You've covered all your things?
Sure.
Have you? Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
I was just going to say, the population's just under 1 million people, and it is busy.
It is very busy, it was busy. So we're in the Merida, the capital of the Yucatan Peninsula. We're in this fabulous, wealthy port city, and we go to a German pub and have pizza for dinner. Yeah, that was. I thought that was a bit ironic.
But I think too we had a big lunch, so
we had the hungy.
The hungy for lunch,
and it's not, they don't call it a hungy. We've called it that because that's what it was like.
Yeah,
hungy's not Mexican.
No, hungy's New Zealand.
That's right.
That's a Maori thing.
Yeah, but people were saying it's just like a hungy because they're talking about cooking it in banana leaves and things, and like that's but I don't know what the Mexican name for it is. Okay, so after our pizza in the German pub, we headed off to bed and ready for our next day, which was absolutely spectacular.
Yes.
Well, we woke up nice and bright that next morning and headed down to our buffet breakfast, which was quite nice, wasn't it?
Beautiful fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, Mexican pineapple.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Really good, isn't it? And then we sort of had to wait for the bus to come to get our luggage on, and I was sort of playing this game of chess with another lady on the bus.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know, but I wanted the front seat, and we changed. People change all the time, but I decided I wanted the front seat when we're driving into, Cancun and where we're going today. And so she's moved a bit over, and then I've moved a bit over, and then she's moved back, and then and then all of a sudden I know the bus is there, and I'm on. I snagged the front seat. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, well, you've obviously forgot to mention that you pushed her over.
Oh, she got up. She was all right. She only grazed one knee.
Yeah.
So I snagged the front seat, which was actually really interesting because I was able to see on the way they're building this train line, basically all around the Mayan. They're calling it the Mayan railway line. So it takes you from, I think, Palenque all the way around these major sites, and
and fish in Cancun. I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it goes even further than Cancun. So it's going to be amazing, and they're looking at opening the first section by the end of this year and stuff.
2023. Because anyway, I think their president hits his big infrastructure thing, and I think the elections are towards the end of this year, so he wants it finished.
All right. But whatever, I just think that's going to be a great way if you want to go to Mexico. Then you don't have to worry about driving on the roads.
Sure.
You can do that. So I got to see a lot of that. But where we were heading this day, which I think was, we're all a bit keen because we're heading to one of the 7 wonders of the world, Chichen Itza.
Yes.
And I think if you think of Mexico and you think of an ancient Mayan temple, the picture that you think of is Chichen Itza. It's the one that's, always in the the shots that you see, and you can tell it was a 7 wonder of the world because it was busy as heck.
Yeah, it was the busiest one we'd
It's
seen.
so busy, buses after buses, because a lot of people do day trips from Cancun and other places on the coast. But anyway, we got there, and tell us a bit about it though, because it's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's built between 900 and 1200 AD in the Maya Toltec era.
Mm-hmm.
It is known as the Castillo and
El
Venus.
Castillo is the main building.
Yeah. And Venus platform. It has a staircase on each side of the four sides leading to the top of the platform. The balustrades are topped with an ascending plumed serpent.
Yeah.
The serpent god.
Yeah.
Now this is hard.
Yeah.
Kukulkan.
Yeah.
Kukulkan.
That's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Well
the serpent
done.
god Kukulkan.
Yeah.
On the walls of the structure are prostrate human figures. Below them are eagles and jaguars, gruesomely grasping the humans.
Now, this is impressive because it's still intact, like pretty well, isn't it? And apparently there's smaller pyramids inside as well. So you can't go up the stairs. In fact, there was a lady that went up a few months ago, and she's all over TikTok now, being booed and harassed and water thrown at her and stuff like that. So that's the main part of it, and it's really impressive. But then there's lots of other things that you don't even know about till you get there, aren't there?
Yeah, look, just to go back a step, the Mayans designed their pyramids and temples in Chichen Itza to be used as calendars and for rituals. They were made to track celestial events, and the Mayans displayed an extraordinarily knowledge of astrology and mathematics in their construction.
Oh, they did. Like everything Tacho told us, like that's been built this way, and at this date this happens, and that's got 13 and that's got 7, and everything adds up, and all the calendars come together. Like it's you just think you can't make that stuff up. It's got to be real. It's very, very impressive.
Well, I got to be honest. One of the things that really impressed me was the Venus platform, which had the inscriptions, or what did you call this? The carvings of the jaguar.
Yeah.
And the feathered serpent, and so you were standing right in front of it, and the intricacy of that was just phenomenal. It blew me away.
I like
really
the
did.
Skulls. Like I got a nice. I got a nice photo.
That doesn't really surprise me.
I know. I've got a bit of an obsession with the skulls.
You have.
But so we wander around there, and then after you've seen that, we come to the ball court,
the grand ball court.
It's
Chichen Itza is by far the largest field in the Mesoamericas, measuring 168 by 79 meters.
Now, sorry, can I just say the game they play on this is a bit like soccer, football, but you have to touch the ball with your hip or your shoulder. You can't use your hands
or your feet.
Or your feet.
So, or your head. So, how's it like soccer?
Well, because you're not carrying the ball like football, so you're kicking it, sort of thing. And there's two goals. There's two big round circles way up high. So how the heck they got it up there?
Yeah. So and the thing is that the ball was made from liquid latex, extracted from rubber trees. The ball weighs between 3 and 5 kilos. Now, back in Puebla, when we were coming down from somewhere, there was a guy, young bloke, actually
kicking a ball. You thought?
Well, he was doing the hip movement with the ball. Anyway, it came towards me, and I thought, well, I'll do him a favour. I'll pick it up and I'll give it to him, as it save him a bit of time. I went to pick the ball up, and I couldn't believe how heavy it was. Yeah. So, but now they played it 1-on-1, or they played it pair against pair, or they played it in teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the ball game was more a ceremonial ritual than a sport, and probably represented the symbolic recreation of the mythical combat between night and day. Now, the kicker in this is...
The kicker.
Never thought of that. Is that the winners...
Stop yelling at me.
The people that
you're
win it...
excited. He's excited.
The people that win it... get sacrificed. They become human sacrifices. So if you don't lose, you get to stay alive. If you win, you're bugging.
Yeah, but they wanted to to get sacrificed because they thought they were going up to the gods, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, but I've got to say, I would have probably, I would have. What do they say in boxing when you take a fall or something?
Take one for the team.
No, they basically, pretend that they get beat. I would be doing that in that particular.
Right. Okay. So that's Chichen Itza.
Hang on, and the Temple of the Warriors.
Oh, that's with all those. Yeah, I've got a nice photo of that as well.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Now that obviously built around the same time, and there's statues or monuments representing the warriors, and there's about 1,000 of them.
Yeah,
like it's pretty impressive. Like the whole of Chichen Itza is well worth going to visit.
Absolutely. And you can see why it's a seventh wonder of, not the seventh wonder, but a seventh wonder of the world. It was incredible. After Chichen Itza, we probably, the guy should have gone straight to Cancun. However, a few of us asked our guide Tacho about cenotes. Like I'd listened to a few podcasts, watched a few documentaries, and I wanted to see a cenote. And I asked him earlier on in the tour, and he said, we'd look at it later on. And so this was the day we got to go and see a cenote. So what can you want to tell everybody what a cenote is, Don?
Okay, here we go. The sacred cenote is a water-filled sinkhole in limestone at the pre-Columbian Maya archaeological site of Chichen Itza in the northern Yucatan Peninsula. The region is pockmarked with natural sinkholes called cenotes, which exposes water tables to the surface.
So it sort of is like an underground river system, right?
Yeah.
And these cenotes were formed over 55 million years ago.
It could have been 54 million?
No, 55.
Okay, fair enough.
And when a meteor hit the Earth, or hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and there's over 10...
Is that like climate change?
Are you trying to be...
annoying?
Yeah?
Yes, I am.
You're doing really well. When a meteor hit the Yucatan Peninsula and caused over 10,000 of these cenotes. Now, some of them are tiny and some of them are big, but the one we went to is about 5 minutes from Chichen Itza, and that's one of the reasons they actually talk about why they built Chichen Itza there, is because they had ongoing fresh water supply, which is something that a lot of the places didn't have. So now this cenote, you hop out of the bus and you walk along a path and you can see a bit of a fence, and then you look over this one. I mean, they're all different sizes, but this one, there's this great big round hole, and it's got all this green lush vegetation sort of growing over the edge, and the root system sort of trying to work its way right down to the water. And in the bottom you can see people swimming, and so we had the opportunity to go for a swim in this cenote, but you got to wear a life jacket, which was great because then you can just float around, but it's a fair way down.
Right? Sure.
So we had to walk all the way down. I don't know how many steps, but it was worth it, because once you got to the bottom, you got in this beautiful, clear, crystal, cool water of the cenote, and you're just looking up and seeing like the blue sky and the sun above you with all that green lushness just falling down into the water. Like, it was an absolute highlight for everybody who did it, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, that was for sure. However, did you know that Edward Herbert Thompson dredged the cenote from 1904 to 1910 and recovered artifacts of gold, jade, pottery, as well as human remains?
Sure.
So you knew that?
Well, I didn't know that, but I knew they'd found human remains, because that's one of the...
So you were happy to swim in there, do the backstroke, do the breaststroke. And
they're deep as deep, and it might not have been this cenote. It could have been another cenote. There's 10,000 of them.
Yeah, I think pretty sure it was this one.
Okay.
But they also, what Tacho's told us was that the Red Bull, they do like a
diving competition.
Yeah.
So go and have a look at the video on Instagram at Beach Travel Wine in the story highlights of Mexico too, and you'll see I do this beautiful big panorama and go down into the hole, and then or check out the show notes that go with this episode with all the photos of it, because it was absolutely mind blowing.
May I say that it was one of my favourite adventures in Mexico.
There's up there with one of mine as well. Yeah, really loved it. We're only there for an hour though, because we're all keen to get back on the bus and head to our final destination of the day, to Cancun. Yeah?
Yes.
And so I'm back on the front seat, because once you get the front seat, you've got it all day. And we got there quite well, you know.
We thought it was going to be about 2 hours, and it was about an hour, and we got lost.
Yeah, we did get lost. But what happened was there was 3 accidents in the traffic jam, and it took us like nearly an hour to get like a couple of kilometres, which was a bit of a downer for some of us, because there were some people staying on for an extra 2 nights in Cancun, and we were being dropped off first in our beachside hotel, and the other people were staying on the bus, and they were heading into the city part of Cancun,
which was closer to the airport,
and they probably got to their place about 7 p.m. and had to be picked up at 8 o'clock. So, you know, if you can do the extension, if you add on a few days in Cancun, I'd highly recommend it. But we basically said goodbye, like it was pretty, quick, see you all later, thanks for coming. And we all headed to our rooms and dumped everything, or we did, and headed straight down to the beach bar. We had a restaurant right on the sand. We had a beautiful dinner and some drinks, and we just chilled out then for a couple of days. But have you got some information on Cancun you'd like to share?
This may surprise you, but I have.
Okay, well, let's keep it coming then, sunshine.
Cancun, a Mexican city on the Yucatan Peninsula bordering the Caribbean Sea, is known for its beaches, numerous resorts, and nightlife.
Before you go, I'm just going to say this town was built purposely for tourism.
Yes.
Yeah, in the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's composed of 2 district areas.
Yes.
The more traditional downtown area called El Centro.
Yep.
And the Zona Hotelera.
So a long beachfront, is what he's saying.
Yeah, a long beachfront strip of high-rise hotels, nightclubs, shops, and restaurants. Look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Our actual accommodation was at the Beachscape Kin Ha Villas and Suites. It was beautiful.
Yeah, the pool area, the restaurant area, the beach area, the umbrellas, the chairs.
You got direct access to the beach, huge outdoor pool, fabulous buffet breakfast.
Yeah.
Dinner on the beach, as Lan said, on the sand. Large, comfy beds, great grill. I had grilled snapper one night, it was absolutely spectacular.
But after our busy 15-odd days or whatever it was, we've been traveling around Mexico, we just needed these few days to feel human again and normal again. And we actually recorded a podcast there because, we had the time to do it. And there was one day, though, we walked into sort of the sort of nightlife area just briefly, had a drink and realised what a mistake it was for us, and headed back to our nice, safe hotel. And you hopped on a bus one day with another guy called Peter to go to the Isla de Mujeres, the island of the women, which it sounded beautiful, lots of restaurants and the beach was nice and lots of shops and things like that. I just couldn't bring myself to go anywhere. I just did a tiny bit of shopping and just sat by the pool. And
Peter made it very clear that he wanted to go, and I could tell you girls weren't fussed. So I thought if he really wants to go, and I thought I knew that they have a reef over there for snorkeling and scuba diving. So my initial thoughts was to go over and do a snorkel, because it's Tacho did tell us that their reef there, the Caribbean Sea, is the second biggest.
Which isn't that impressive when you
only larger, smaller than the Great Barrier Reef.
Yep.
But I think it's smaller by a long way. Look, it was beautiful.
You enjoyed your day.
It was really good. It's a vacation destination known for beaches, resort, hotels, and the snorkeling and scuba diving.
Yeah.
Now the funny thing was, we're sitting there, just on the beach, and we're getting him to have a swim, and then we get back out, then we get hot again, and we get back in. But as we're sitting there, these guys walking along with these huge iguanas that you can pat or hold, and for 10 American dollars. And then there was a lady with a huge python wrapped around her neck, and you could pat that. And then there was a lemur from Madagascar, which looked quite cute. And the guy's walking around, he's letting the children pat it, but if an adult wanted, you'd have to fork out the 10 American dollars. The actual ferry itself that we took over was fabulous. It was modern. It was very, very safe. I think it was actually pretty new. So that was really impressive. Now, on the way home, we had to catch back to the beachscape.
A bus?
A bus, yeah. What did I say?
A back.
Oh, okay. A bus back to the beachscape hotel. Now, it only cost 12 pesos, which I don't know what that is in Australian dollars. It's not much. But anyway, so I get on the bus. Now, there's no such thing as safety in Cancun or Mexico in general. Anyway, I get on the bus, and it's chock-a-block, and I'm the last on the bus, and I'm actually on the bottom step, and the door, there's no door, so it doesn't close. Anyway, so the next stop, people get off, and I get up, and I'm sort of next to the bus driver, and while he's driving, all you can see him do is changing notes over and giving people change. He's not actually looking at the road, but all of a sudden, because he's not looking at the road, he's got to slam on the brakes, and I fall over. Right now, that's all right. I didn't hurt myself. There's no drama, but there was no such thing as "Are you okay?" concern or anything like that. This bloke's pissing himself laughing. This is the driver. So he says to me, come and sit next to me. So the driver's, at the steering wheel, and I'm sitting what I think is on the engine beside him, and I'm facing
the crowd
and the bus driver, and all through it, he's just pissing himself laughing. But anyway, he was a nice fella. And he showed us where
to get off.
What stop we had to get off at. Yeah, everything was fine.
And you got home nice and safe, really, didn't you?
Fortunately.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
To finish off our tour in Mexico, we've taken you from Mexico City all the way, nearly 2,500 kilometres to Cancun, to all the Mayan and Aztec sites. It's been the cenotes, the waterfalls, everything. It's been a fabulous trip. But one of the things that kept popping up is in these Mayan sites, they all just disappeared, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, and there's some theories about that you wanted to share.
Yeah, look, Tacho told us on the last day at Chichen Itza that there's a
couple of theories. What happened?
Well, yeah, there's probably three theories. The first one is the drought theory holds the rapid climate change in the form of severe drought brought about the classic Mayan collapse. Paleoclimatologists have discovered abundant evidence that prolonged droughts occurred in the Yucatan Peninsula and the Petan Basin area.
So what they're saying is year after year, it went on this drought, and everything they did, every sacrifice they did,
Well, it was like apparently lasted 17 years. Now so
they didn't die there because there's no bones.
Yeah,
they actually just deserted the area. That's one theory.
They say in one that Death Valley, back, that there was no bones, but I think there was bones. The second thing was the Maya civilization's heavy use of mercury, including the red paint used to paint the temples, more than likely affected and contaminated the water table.
When it rained.
Yeah. So when it rained, the mercury would go in and contaminate the soils. And
but it hadn't rained for 17 years.
Well, when it did, though, look, I know it sounds a bit weird, but there is evidence to say that
could be either of those.
There's evidence now that below, quite low, when they've dug out sites, there's still very heavy mercury contamination of the soil.
And then the third one is...
Now, yeah, the third one basically is that the
people just got sick of... They didn't believe the gods after a while, you know.
Yeah. Archaeologists.
Yeah, try one more time.
How do you say that?
Archaeologists.
Yeah, have pointed out that the ancient Maya societies may have been vulnerable to collapse by their very nature. They apparently funneled wealth to a small ruling elite topped by hereditary divine kings who had unlimited power but whose subjects expected generosity. A string of military defeats or a seasonal drought could greatly damage their credibility. And what Tacho, what he basically said is he believes that what happened was that there was human sacrifices to the gods, and
when they didn't get the results, the people
just lost faith in the rulers and in the gods, and they just disappeared.
There's a whole lot of theories, and I think that that National Geographic team that was filming at Palenque site, they were doing a documentary on that sort of
lost cities and stuff. So look, and I think that all that is probably accurate, and probably all of that probably could have happened simultaneously.
And it all adds to the mystique of it all too. You know, to have these huge areas where there's only 2% of them showing out of the whole thing. You know, they were massive cities with suburbs, and you know, you don't, not even seeing, you know, like you're only seeing such a small part of some of them. Then to just all be, you know, just everyone's just disappeared. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real eye-opener.
Yeah. So we've given you lots of information about Mexico, but what I have done, because there's a whole lot more that it's really like the nitty-gritty of being on tour. It's not to do with the sites or that sort of stuff, but I've put together a PDF download for you. If you're thinking of going to Mexico or doing this trip, you'll want to get this list. It's about 40 different things, from, you know, how much you need to tip, and, you know, a whole lot of information there. Now, the way you get that is in the podcast description. There's a link to the show notes, and or you can go straight to the show notes on our website. It's episode 43, and there's a button there to click where you can download that that resource of the PDF of all the different stuff that you really need to know. And I wish I'd known before I'd gone. So it's a collection of, you know, what we knew and what other people knew and what we learned, and put it all together. So definitely check that out. But just to finish off, so much to see in Mexico. Yes?
Yeah, look, the tour, which is a Tripadeal tour, it was, what was the name of the tour again?
It's the Best of Mexico.
The Best of Mexico. Look, and, you know, when you go through the itinerary and that, since we've been back, it is exactly what that tour promised. It is the best of Mexico.
It is.
And it was different. It's different than what we normally do, but I was fascinated.
Yeah, it's a great country to visit, and it's going to get better when they have that the railway there as well. Be a lot easier to get around and quicker, and than being on some of those Mexican roads. So I hope you've enjoyed our trip, our 3-part series of our tour of the Best of Mexico. So who knows where we'll be seeing you next time. So
yeah, who knows?
So it's goodbye from him,
and it's adios amigos from me.